Gurudevo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om. Babaji, the lightning standing still. India's guidance to the Church versus Darwinists controversy. The ancient philosophy of India dissolves the quarrel between the Darwinians' theory of evolution and the Orthodox Church. The answer comes from the great Manu, Lord Vivasvat, who gives us the knowledge that the terrestrial involution of humanity takes place along Darwinian lines, where the elements provide the gross material body, and lunar ancestors provide the emotional, mental, and intuitional bodies of man, and the spiritual evolution provided by the Shiva element, which is the Atma, spirit in every soul. The spiritual soul, with its spark of divinity, is given to it by the solar archangels called Agnishvata, the sages of the fire mist. The crux of the problem regarding the controversy between the Church and the Darwinists is that both imagine the true man to be a physical entity and not a divine spirit. Hence, they connect him with the passage of terrestrial evolution, which naturally brings forth minerals, plants, reptiles, apes, and man. But Indian wisdom differs sharply and is emphatic on its stand that man is truly a spark of the immortal spirit self and not a terrestrial mortal body. This puts to rest an inconvenient dilemma and an uncomfortable delusion that our true selves came from the apes. Therefore, I would exhort all scientists to humble themselves and introspect that their true selves and origins are divine and not coming from the delusive slush of matter and the limitations of an egotistic mind. O humanity, let us pride ourselves in the fact that we are immortal spirits and rejoice that our origins are divine. Herein lies the reconciliation between the religionists and the scientists, that the physical form of man could evolve from the animal form right through the human form, then to the emotional and mental faculties. But the true man, the spirit that he is, definitely comes from the gods. Hence, in the deeper sense, Indian wisdom states that man in his truest essence is descended from the divine. Only his physical vestures are from evolutionary matter, including the form of his past incarnations, where he has had to pass through the first form of the apes, then to Africanus man, the Robustus, the Erectus, the Sapiens, the Neanderthal, then to modern man. This which we call the modern man is but a garment or a temple erected to honor the incoming eternal spirit. So the whole journey of evolution is just so that the divine spirit, our true self, can express itself in its truest form. The sweet nurse of nature unrolls itself so that the spirit of man can express itself to perfection through the ever-improved models of its physical temples. Whether the spirit self inhabits its physical vehicle at the beginning of evolution or at a particular point thereof is not the issue. What is of crucial import is the fact that the eternal spirit, which expresses itself through transient and various evolutionary forms, is never touched, contaminated, or associated by those forms, and yet is the source and spiritual drive of terrestrial evolution, which evolves into the material body that our spirit selves inhabit. Matter is lifeless without the informing Spirit of God, which uses the human body of matter to express its will in ever-evolving cycles, rounds, and globes of creation. The very spirit of the divine spark motivates all matter and mind of the universe to evolve into its likeness and permeates it through and through, without which the whole of creation is lifeless. And yet creation can never comprehend its creator, the divine, but rather gets lost. So we must make the paradigm shift and not mistake ourselves to be born from apes, which is merely the physical garment but know by deep introspection that our true self is born from the divine, and our origin is divine, from my poem, Autobiography of the Self. And all along evolution's path did I travel. My outer coats were different, each one more expressive than the first, but essentially I was the same. And finally awaited me the crucial temple of man, but it was only a man of clay until I entered my ray. Yogiraj, Siddhanath. The source of your material body is the divine mind, and the source of your spirit self is the divine consciousness. Therefore, this is the humble request that the Church and the Darwinists do not ram their heads like two goats on a one-way mountain bridge and both fall down and perish with no results, but try to perceive the amicable solution in the philosophy of the wise sages of India. When we go to the Indian time cycles, we now understand that calling Egypt the cradle of civilization and Africa the cradle of humanity is a very misleading and childish concept, as their timelines seem to be a flash in the pan as when compared to the great Indian calendar of astronomical cycles and globes and creation.